Welcome back into the South Jersey Sports Report here on 97.3 ESPN. Your host, Sully from Glory Days Magazine. Check us out, glorydaysonline.com. In studio with my producer and co-host, Nick Costco. We got much more basketball coming up this hour. As coming up next is Kevin Minnick. We're also going to have Coach DeWeese going to join us a little bit later this hour. He was, where else? At the gym this morning, about an hour ago. So we'll catch up with him here later in the show. Right now, we're going to check in with Kevin Minnick of NJ Advanced Media, NJ.com. Good morning, Kev.
Hey, good morning, Sully. How are you today?
Pretty good, man. How was your Christmas?
It was real nice, real nice. And like McGarry said, there's nothing wrong with Christmas. Everything's good every time.
Did you get some new Philly slippers or something like that?
No, nothing. No, a couple things here and there, but nothing real major. But it was a good time by all, and it's always a nice time to have everybody together, and you hang out with your family for a couple hours here and there during the course of the day. So it was a good time.
Yeah, good to kind of take a breath here before we get into the chaos of January and February with high school basketball, and there's tons coming up. What's on your radar? I know the division and conference play starts in earnest next week, so we're really going to find out a lot about some of these teams in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, you're going to have, like you said, your division play is going to really get in, kick into gear, and we're going to have, we're going to have showcase events pretty much every weekend for the rest of the way. So you get you get some very good games during the course of the week in league play, and then a lot of these teams try to take their game to the next level a little bit, and playing in some of these showcases. So it's it's going to be good, and it's time now. Once we get past New Year's, everybody will kind of get back into a rhythm, get back into a schedule of what's going to happen each day, and kind of stick to it, and the push for push for March will be on.
Now, Kevin, myself and Mike McGarry, we kind of concentrate mostly on the Cape Atlantic League teams, and one of the real surprises this year so far on the boys' side is Lower Cape May off to a 6-1 start. Anybody over your way in maybe the Tri-County or the Olympic that's really kind of caught your eye as, hey, maybe we should take this team a little bit more seriously, and a team that's kind of on the rise?
It's early still, and there are some teams that are off to some good starts, and I think one team that kind of jumps out is Eastern. Eastern's always been a very competitive team. They've always had some pretty decent athletes, but they're off to I believe they're 6-0 right now, and they knocked off Moorestown yesterday by 10.
Wow.
To win the Easterns to win their holiday tournament. And Eastern's a team that lost quite a few guys off of last year's team. Really only returned one starter in Ryan Ems, and they've got some other guys who have now that were role players last year and really didn't do a whole lot. They had their moments here and there, but are going to be expected to do much more. And right now Eastern's sitting at 6-0. They'll have a conference in the Olympic American game on Thursday against Cherokee, and that'll start the ball rolling for them. But I think that's one team really kind of jumping out at me right now is the fact that Eastern is undefeated, and to beat Moorestown, a lot of respect for Moorestown, and they had everybody back off of the team that went to the Central Jersey Group 3 final last year and lost to eventual state champion Nottingham in that sectional final. So that's a big win for them, and should obviously give them some momentum into the new year.
Kevin, another signature win. I know it's early, but Camden coming down to Wildwood and taking care of Wildwood Catholic really gives them, I guess, the edge on saying, hey, we can be the top team in South Jersey. What did you think of that game? And obviously that's a very talented team in Camden, and we know all about Wildwood Catholic and all the talent they have. So that's really big boy basketball when you're talking about South Jersey.
Yeah, the thing with this Camden team is that it does have a lot of talent, and it's very young. Ethan Tart is the only senior starter. They're a squad that is still learning to play with each other, and they had Wildwood Catholic on the ropes early, And Wildwood Catholic never was able to obviously never able to come back and make it all the way back over the hump. But Camden had opportunities in that game to kind of put their stamp on things and really kind of put their foot on the pedal, and they didn't do it. Wildwood Catholic obviously came back in the fourth quarter, got closed it to 1 and then closed it to 2 with about 2 minutes left. But a couple turnovers here and there down the stretch, especially in the final minute, really hurt them. But Camden's a team that you look at it, and it's obviously loaded with talent and, has some very, very good young talent. But like I said, and Coach Vic Christarfit has told me on now two occasions that I've seen them play so far that they're still very young. They're still learning to kind of see where everybody likes the ball on the floor and how they work when they're together on the floor. And both of those teams are going to be extremely dangerous teams come tournament time, because they're already playing at a high level right now, and they're only going to get better. So, as that Camden team now settles in, their schedule will be equally as challenging as Wildwood Catholic's will be on a game-by-game basis. Camden playing in the Olympic National will have some very tough games to play, especially, 2 against Paul VI, 2 against Bishop Eustace, and 2 against Camden Catholic. So they're going to obviously have some work ahead of them. But, like I said, Camden's a team extremely talented. I like the way they play. I like the way the young kids play. And, I think come March, when they finally have all the pieces kind of together and working as one, they're going to be a very, very difficult team to beat.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Kevin Minnick of NJ Advanced Media and NJ.com. Check out all his stuff. And, Kev, one team that's really interesting to look at is St. Augustine. Here's a team, we knew they had the Solomon kid, Vanderslice, so they had a very good roster to begin with. Then you add these Delaney brothers coming in, and man, what a boon that is for them to get these 2 transfers in that they can plug right in there to the starting lineup, and it really makes them a pretty formidable team in South Jersey.
Well, so Matt Delaney has been at St. Augustine now. He's a sophomore. He's been there for 2 years now.
Oh, okay. The other brother.
The transfer is Andrew, and Andrew's a senior this year, and they go about 6. Andrew goes about 6'7", and the thing with him is he can handle the basketball. So he's someone that is not going to just sit down around in the paint and score his points that way. He's an athletic kid. He's going to get out there and shoot the 3 and attack the basket a little bit. So, but to have him. That's a big deal for them, and I think that kind of puts them a little bit. I don't want to say puts them over the top, but obviously when he decided to transfer in for his senior year, that really gave them a really nice bonus piece to have that they did not have last year. And they're both younger brothers of Timmy Delaney, who's at Villanova, and Timmy hasn't played much at Nova. He's had a lot of hip injuries, but in high school, Timmy was a dominant player at Pittman. He played his senior year at Blair, and he was a very, very good high school basketball player at 1,600 points in 3 years. And help put help Pittman to a sectional championship. So, the Delaney brothers come from a basketball family. They're not kids that are just big kids that you really have to do a ton of work with. And these kids have grown up playing the game and they know what's going on. So, with Andrew coming in as a senior and Matt coming in with another year under his belt, they're obviously 2 bookends that, Paul Rodeo will shake his head and say he's pretty fortunate to have, in his arsenal. So they're, St. Augustine's off to a good start. They'll play a team up in North Jersey today in the Skyline. And, once they start their tournament or their league play as well, they're a team right now that maybe, we're talking about St. Joe and Wildwood Catholic and Pleasantville and all. And usually St. Augustine's at the top of the conversation. They're not kind of flying under the radar, so to speak. So we'll see what happens, as we get into the meat of the schedule. But don't sleep on St. Augustine.
Kevin, real quick before we let you go, I think this is kind of a real great opportunity for St. Joe next weekend at the Seagull. They're playing Rancocas Valley right in the middle of that Saturday slate at 1 o'clock. This could be a real showcase game for them to say, hey, we're legitimate big-time team here. How do you see that? This team obviously off to a great start, but they haven't had a ton of success the last couple of years, and they finally have this team where they believe they can challenge for not only the Cal but even into the playoffs. This could be a really important game for them.
Yeah, I think for them, to be honest with you, I think every game is going to be an important game for them, given the expectations that people have for that basketball team. And, RV is not the RV team that it's been in the past, but, here's a Group 4 school, and Jay Flanagan does an outstanding job of coaching these kids. And, they'll be out there and they'll be ready to compete, and they'll give everything they have. And, getting an opportunity for St. Joe to play in that particular tournament where there's going to be a packed gym and, people get an opportunity to see what they're all about. And, I think any opportunity they have to step outside of their schedule and play some, traditionally strong programs is going to help them down the road. And, like I said, they're a team. The expectations are high. It's probably the best team the school's probably had, at least on paper, in quite a while. And it's cliche, but they truly have to take it one game at a time and can't look too far ahead. They've got to focus on the here and now. So, I'm interested in seeing them play, and haven't had a chance yet, and I'm going to. But like you said, a team that's off to a great start, and a team that I think will open up the eyes of a lot of basketball people when they get a chance to see them.
Great stuff as always, Kevin. We appreciate it, man, and have a great weekend and enjoy your New Year's. Hopefully, you get a little bit of a break before we get into this grind of the high school basketball season in January. We appreciate your time, man.
All right, so you have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you in the new year.
Yeah, we got plenty to talk about next weekend with the Seagulls, so get your notebook ready.
All right, we'll be set.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it, man.